This evening, we're talking about a story that comes out of Florida. This story is basically a father. So a father ends up shooting his daughter's abusive ex and ends up killing him. My name is Jamal Kersey. I am the principal attorney at Kersey Law, a boutique criminal defense firm in San Diego, California. And, we're going to talk about it, get into some of the legal analysis. I'll give you my thoughts on this case. On March 17th, a guy ends up going to his ex-girlfriend's apartment. And there's not a whole lot of details about this story, but we know that there was a guy and a girl who had previously been in a relationship, and he makes his way to the apartment and ends up inside the apartment. And so the way that the articles and the news stories are worded, it's a little vague, but it's probably safe to say, based on what ended up happening afterwards, that, that he wasn't invited, right? This was not someone who was an invited guest to come over to the ex's house. But he ends up, and he may have, they say that he got inside the apartment, not that he was let inside the apartment. So he may have entered the apartment uninvited. But he does, one thing that is clear is that he ends up assaulting the ex-girlfriend. So on some level, and again, there's no details as to whether he slapped her, kicked her, punched her, hit her with some sort of object, but he has on some level assaulted the ex-girlfriend. And at Kersey Law, we handle a lot of domestic violence cases, right? So we have an active murder case, we have an attempted murder case, we have all kinds of other types of cases, drug possession case, drug sales, but the vast majority of our cases are domestic violence cases. And the way the police end up getting involved in these cases is either the situation escalates, there's an argument, either way, there's going to be some sort of argument that leads to violence. And so when the police get called, this guy decides to leave. I'm not just going to wait around and let the police take me into custody, right? Because if he assaulted his girlfriend, not only that, when it comes down to it, it's the ex-boyfriend. It seems that he has no business being at his ex-girlfriend's apartment, number one. Number two, he's inside, and it sounds like he wasn't invited. And number three, he's now assaulted this woman at this point. So definitely, if the police show up and they see her, she's going to report, even if she doesn't necessarily have any visible injuries, she's going to say, hey, my ex-boyfriend came to my house. I didn't want him here. He was inside. He attacked me. He needs to be arrested, right? So the girlfriend did not just call the police. She called the first protector she ever knew. She called her dad. And so again, the boyfriend ends up leaving the house before the police arrive, before her dad arrives, right? Because again, he's not trying to get arrested. And so when the police do respond, and again, there's not a lot of details in the news articles that have been published about what the extent of her injuries were. I guarantee you, this was not just a one-off situation, right? This was not, whether it was the assault or him just showing up unannounced, this probably was not the first time this went down, right? And so she's going to have reported what went on. So she's going to give the whole narrative on him coming through, what was said back and forth, and how that escalated from a conversation to violence. But in this situation, the police, they do what they do, and they end up leaving. About 30 minutes later, ex-boyfriend comes back, right? So he had left, gone away, and ex-boyfriend comes back. And I guess he's thinking, hey, the cops should be gone by now, or maybe he saw the cop cars were gone. But what he doesn't know, apparently, is that Mr. F around and find out is there now. He doesn't know that. So he tries to force his entry into the apartment. And how upsetting does this have to be for this woman? So this has to be insanely frustrating and probably scary for this daughter who has just been physically assaulted by this man, and now he's coming back for more. But daddy's here this time around. And you can only imagine how angry he was at this situation, because if he's coming to the house with his pistol, so he had a handgun on him, you can only imagine how many times he's heard the stories of them getting into it, of him putting his hands on this guy's daughter. And he makes it into the house, and the dad is ready. The dad is ready for whatever's coming. He had a handgun, and he pulls out that handgun and shoots the man in the chest. So apparently he's a good shot, right? Got him right in the chest. That guy left. So it doesn't exactly say what if anything was said, because if these guys were smart and they had to give a statement to the police, ideally they would have remained silent, right? Exercise your right to remain silent. But the guy left. He left the house, and the police reported that he was found dead next to his car. So I imagine he probably wanted to go to the hospital, get some medical attention, try to get to his car, and he was found dead right there. Now, for me, myself, myself, I do not wish any harm on anybody. I never have and never will, but this is foolish behavior. This is insanely foolish behavior. And this man's foolish behavior got him killed. Should this father be arrested, and should he be charged with a crime? And it is a very hot button issue, because I can tell you there are some people out there who are celebrating this man as a hero, and then you have people who are like, you know, what gives you the right to just take someone's life? So it will depend. It could realistically go either way. What are the different things that could happen to this guy at this point? He could be arrested. If you shoot somebody and they die, the police could definitely find at least probable cause to arrest you. So, you know, they're going to do whatever investigation that they do. And if they arrest the guy, they're then going to take their file and send it over to the DA's office. DA is going to review it, and they're going to determine, hey, was there a crime committed? And was there a crime committed that we believe that we can prove beyond a reasonable doubt? And if they think they do, then they'll charge him. That's one scenario. Another scenario is that they could arrest him, give their file to the DA. DA looks it over. All right, can we prove something beyond a reasonable doubt? And they could say, you know what, I don't think we can prove this case beyond a reasonable doubt. Looks like, you know, he might have been acting in self-defense or the like, and decide to not file charges, right? So he could get arrested. The DA reviews the case and declines to file charges, right? The other possibility is that the police could decide they can do their own internal review without even getting to the DA, and they can say, hey, we're not even going to arrest this guy. That's a possibility too, right? But I think, you know, the moral of this story is don't break into people's homes. And I say that, you know, without judging, because I've represented people who have burgled homes. And just like any other situation where I'm representing somebody who may have done something that society would completely look down upon, you know, I'm not here to judge my clients. I don't judge any of my clients. I can say I don't care, but it's not my position to judge them. It is my position to protect and defend their constitutional rights and make sure that they're treated fairly within the system. But I will say, you know, it's not okay to break into people's houses, right? Don't break into people's houses. And if you're here, if you can do me a favor, you know, show me some love, hit the like button, hit the heart button, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're not already. So I think that this leads to a need to provide at least some sort of, you know, tip for these fathers, because we have a situation, and this is a pretty unique set of circumstances where this daughter makes the call, father comes through, and this guy comes back. We've talked in the past about disrespect, how feeling disrespectful or how feeling disrespected and feeling justified in using violence. Because, you know, make no mistake about it, there's a lot of you who can relate to pops in this situation and feel like, hey, Mike just put hands on my daughter. I see Mike in the streets. It's on, no questions asked. I'm gonna beat the brakes off him. But you have to understand that, you know, those type of actions do have consequences, and you could be doing more harm than good, because there are ripple effects that come along with getting arrested and getting charged with a crime. If you've got a good job, they're probably going to be upset that you're getting arrested for assault, especially a felony assault. You know, for some companies, if you are getting arrested for a felony assault, you might not even be able to work at that company anymore. If you end up getting convicted for assault, you might lose your job. Can you afford to lose your job because you lost your cool and felt like you were avenging your daughter? And again, this is not me judging. This is just me being a voice of reason. So we have to be mindful. And I can understand how, you know, someone might feel like going through the legal route is not what they necessarily want to do, but taking the alternative route can be even more problematic, because if you have to go to jail, then you have to put up money for bail, then you have to put up money for a lawyer, then you still might risk getting convicted because you assaulted somebody. And we understand, you know, why it happened. You know, the DA and the judge will understand why you acted, but it's still, you know, that's not a legal defense. It's not a legal justification. So it's definitely something that we got to be careful about.